Did you feel pushed out?
You know, I feel differently about it all. It's like, yeah, there was a time where there was a hiatus that I would call it, because there was a certain type of vibe taking place where you had people who experienced another thing of life that wanted to talk about it or glorify it in some ways. So, you know, us in our lives, because of the fruits of our labor, which was so grand, there was things going on in our personal lives. We got married, got divorced, had children, wanted to experiment in regards to individual things that we were into, that we could afford to do, which would be hard to do that and do that. We didn't want to insult our audiences or our fans by being something that we weren't. You know, all of a sudden we talking gangster. Nah. But when we did the album Face the Nation that I really loved, we dealt with more topical issues then. Like one was called about, you know, what was going on with the epidemic with crack, you know, things that was going on politically and stuff. We wanted to bring attention to that. Did people buy into it? Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't as big as the more commercial stuff we did. But we fell back because, like I said, we're taking care of stuff happening in our personal life. We know we didn't fit with what was becoming popular, but it's interesting to fast forward today how all of this stuff Catz it together, even backstage at the Pastor Mike thing that we just did. So many different representations of lifestyles and the music, from Onyx being in the building, we hanging out with them, Nice and Smooth, Tretch. But the cats that you think is the hardest, and they are when they need to be, they're the most comical prankster guys, whatever, like, you know, 1 and 2, the cats talking about how much we meant to them. We talking about how much they meant to us, stuff we weren't even sharing with each other. We didn't even know that we were all paying attention to each other's stuff and silently kind of bigging each other up. But based on what you're talking about, didn't get it at the time, but I was proud of our place when it came to that tour and what it meant, because these guys was talking about what was going on in their life. Things weren't always a house party for them. So they did it the way that they expressed it. But when we all hung out behind, after the curtain, we were all the same. Cats love girls, poetry, watching certain kind of movies you didn't think certain people would watch, you know what I'm saying? And music outside of hip hop. Like what bugged us out is Flava Flav. We were stuck in that big earthquake in '93 in LA. And we was in there with John P. Key, LL Cool J, Flavor was there, the whole nine. We all stuck in the Nico Hotel, that's what it was called at the time. Not knowing what to do, earthquake just happened. Flava Flav gets on the piano, and this cat, classical music. I mean, playing it like, yo, and it's like, this is Flava Flav? You know what I'm saying?
Jamie Foxx was there too.
Jamie Foxx singing, you know, all of that, because we all trying to keep our mind off of this earthquake that just happened. But just to see people be something different and more to what you see at face value, because Eazy was a nice guy, man. I know in his element he had to be what he had to be, but the girl I was seeing at the time and was serious about, he was like a father to her. So I had to go, when it was time for her to come with me and come live with me and all, she really wanted his blessing. So I came up with whatever. He's like, he liked me, he was cool, you know, and good. Just take care of my girl, take care of my little
How many
sister.
of those people knew that they were chilling with a former stick-up kid,
Exactly.
son of a drug dealer,
That's what I
who
was
had
about to
things
say.
in the house that could have sent his father back to, like,
I think people know people. People, you feel it, you know what I'm saying,
Energy.
without having to say it. You know what I'm saying? It's a certain vibe or whatever the case may be, because Kid and I, we know game. You know what I'm saying? We've survived here in these streets, man. I mean, when we was doing the things we were doing, we were one of the rare Queens people out of our area, East Elmhurst, Corona. And big shout out to even Corona with Cool G Rap and
Polo,
you know, Polo coming up out of there as well, along with Eric B and the rest. But we would venture out into areas that cats wouldn't dare go, because cats out there get you for your sneakers, you wear sheepskin coats, all of that stuff. We went to Harlem, we went to Brooklyn, we went to other places. That's how much what would have inevitably called hip hop meant to us.
see, but you would figure that a group like Kid and Play would get a pass.
We got mad passes.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
We got mad passes, but I also think that particularly when we started traveling and we were hanging in LA.
Do you like to call power?
Harlem on the rise.
Pause. Not the right time.
Is that your parents that you was talking about?
I mean, even the toys were right now. I'm
She
thinking
like
about
you
times
could tell you was talking about it. Yeah, you talking about me? Harlem on the rise.
being with the Ghetto Boys. That was, touring with them. You know, what's monumental to me is because I was a big, CeeLo player, dice game.
Right.
My biggest loss was with Willie D, $1,700. You know what I'm saying? It was like, whoa. And you gonna get paid to Willie his money. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I mean, we got, especially when we started spending more and more time in Los Angeles, we were doing all these movies and all this and that, and TV shows and whatnot. So we spending way more time in Los Angeles than we were spending here. Mm-hmm. So you just gotta kind of check your surroundings and be like, okay, how are we gonna maneuver this? And then you see what's going on. But what we found out was, if you, and this is what we did, you gotta figure out who these bosses are, and when you run up on them, or when y'all run into each other, you just give them theirs. You give them theirs, and then there's never a problem after that.
Well, the one that comes to my mind when you're saying that is Mike Conception. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Out in LA.
My Conception.
And I remember we were doing something. It might have been a music video or something. And one of his people came over and said, Mike, what y'all? I'm like, who the heck is Mike? You know what I'm saying? And he has this dude in a wheelchair, but powerful cat, And he's like, yo, I just want to let you know anything you guys need or whatever. He didn't ask nothing of us or nothing like that. He just
and I think and Mike was, I spent a lot more time in LA, and you know what I mean? He was a boss. He was a boss of bosses. And the thing was, I don't know, people they just like us. Even the gangsters, they like us, and we knew enough coming from New York where you gotta show respect. Mm-hmm. And so we did. So when you got that tap on the shoulder and you say, yo man, Mike wanna holler at you, you're like, man, yeah, let's go. Mm-hmm. Let's go. And we just chit-chatting and this and that. And that's how we were. We had no problem acknowledging who the bosses were in these new places that we were venturing into. So
right. I just want to say something in reference to what BIGGA stated, right? He asked the question about did you feel it was systematic, right? Yeah. I feel like a lot of times it is systematic, for the simple fact that when you look at how hip hop has evolved over the years from the 80s up until now, when you have positive groups coming out with positive music and there's an influx of people that buy into it, and then there's a shift, automatic shift, because now you have gangster rap. What happens is the business of music, they're gonna go with that. They're gonna say, this is what's gonna make us money, this is how we're gonna pay these artists, whatever. Yeah. They're gonna go with the general narrative.
Get these happy motherfuckers out of here.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much positivity going on. Now the problem with that is, the good thing that happens later on is stuff like this, right? Yeah. Is that you're being recognized. Everybody's going back now and saying how we didn't know this stuff. Right. The thing that I'm mad at.
Remember how good we had it? No, we had it. We had it good. We ain't even know.
The thing I'm mad at is that this isn't documented. Talking about watching, Flava Flav playing the piano. Mm-hmm. How great of a guy Eazy was, right? The phone calls from Chuck D to go on tour. Mm-hmm. You don't hear those stories, and there's no footage of it, but it's now being recognized in the 50th year of hip hop. So I do believe it's a systematic thing. Like over time, it's like we're gonna go whatever the general narrative is. Right. That's gonna make us.
Yeah, but it also has a lot to do with what's refreshing to the ear, right. Because sometimes it gets to a place where so much of it, someone comes with something different that now happens to be what would be called gangster rap. Right. And now you have a lot of people who are wannabes. Right. Because just like we sit back and we enjoy Martin Scorsese films with the gangster stuff or whatever, or Scarface, you're feeling that way in the music now, where some people want to be that, or they just like what they're hearing because it's like a good movie. That was the great thing about Biggie. He was a great storyteller. Absolutely. With Tupac, it was the energy and the passion and stuff. So people are living vicariously through these people as they're telling these stories. But as a good friend and pastor friend of mine, Dr. A.R. Bernard out of Brooklyn, CCC, Christian Cultural Center, says when you take a truth to an extreme, it becomes error. And now you're doing so much of it, and it's now it's like life is imitating art.
Right.
Instead of art imitating life.
Right.
And it gets basically out of hand. And now people that have the power to misuse that. And now this is where the systematic kicks in now. It's like, this is what we want to do. Let them do. One of the things that disturbed me in Godfather, I think it was the first one, where they're sitting around the round table and Don Corleone is back from getting shot up or whatever, and they're talking about selling heroin.
Right.
And he's like, well, we'll go ahead and sell it, but I don't want it in our communities. Let it be with the niggas, because all they do is just, I'm paraphrasing, destroying themselves. Same thing with the music. Go ahead and let them overdo it with that, kill each other, show them for what they are when they start getting money,
Genocide.
material gain, look at what they do with it. And that's embarrassing to me.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.